Hey guys, it's Stephanie again, and you're tuned into the review of Married at First Sight, Season 12, Episode 12. All right, before we get started, don't forget to click the subscribe button and the notification bell so you can be the first to find out when I post these videos. All right, happy Friday, happy Good Friday. I am actually on my way to a Good Friday dinner with my family who stop by to say something at the end of this video, so watch all the way through. So I'm just gonna jump in quick because time is of the essence. All right, so first of all, this episode was drawn out. I cannot believe that we're at a point where we have a full 2-hour episode that, like, the nucleus is about the dogs, or like becoming dog parents. Like, I'm not a dog person. I'm not really an animal person. I had like a bad experience when I was in the 4th grade. I've never let it go, and I really don't care to. I'm not into it. I don't get the warm and fuzzies. I get it. If you love your pet, that's great. I just don't think that it should have been the nucleus of an entire episode of Married at First Sight. Like, there are so many other things that we could get into. And if they would just put the experts in there, or put like a coach in there, like a relationship coach, that would provide us more significant content. But I could not roll my eyes enough this whole episode. So I'm just going to talk about where I think the couples are. Let's start with Eric and Virginia. So Eric and Virginia, I've been saying there are ways that they could work. There are things that are going to get in their way, I think, long term. I think they're, like I said recently, some of their foundational stuff that doesn't add up. It's going to cause for like maybe a short-term situation that's okay, but long-term it's not going to work out. They're just too different in certain life things and perspectives that most people need to be on the same page on in terms of creating a strong foundation. So I always say, like, you should have 5 non-negotiables. Like relationships, marriage, it will require you to be flexible, but I don't think you need to be flexible on everything, because then you start adding children to that, and it could quickly cause a disconnect that is, somehow not able to be connected. Some of those non-negotiables are like politics, religion. Do you want children? How you want them to be raised? All of those things, like the lust and love, is not going to carry you through. Those things you have to really be specific about, and on the same page, because oftentimes they break people apart. Similarly to how you handle finances. That's you got to be on similar pages. Even if you have different backgrounds, similar pages. Otherwise, those are going to be things that you struggle through. They're very different. So this lust and this connection that they have, like I said last week, Eric's always like, everything's going great, but I'm like, you guys have some real issues that you're not talking about, that you ignore. And I think she has more of a realistic perspective of their relationship, because she's like, this week we see her, she's like, things are not good. We have some real issues that we don't talk about, and I'm not going to pretend that things are good and say that they're good when they're not. And Eric is like, things are great. Every time you ask him, every time somebody asks him, things are going great. We just have a little thing here, or things are going, they're not going great. I was sad for Virginia this episode because, in terms of her anxiety, because you can see really that she struggles with anxiety, and she looked like she was crawling out of her skin, and like she didn't really know how to manage it. And she looked to me like she felt like she was suffocating in this situation, and having the like controlling and domineering energy of Eric in that moment is probably why she wanted to run, which, yes, that's her thing. She said that that's her thing, but it was hard to watch, because you can visibly see how shaken she is and how she doesn't really know how to combat that. So I loved seeing the conversation with the ladies, Paige, I believe it was, Virginia, and Brianna, talking about the significance of a therapist and their experience with therapists, and just the importance of mental health. So I love seeing that this week. So that was great. But to go back to Eric and Virginia, their communication is it's either non-existent or it's non-effective. They don't, and I really think, and a lot of times when you first get married, you really need to learn how to communicate. Even if you're a great communicator, this is a whole new ball game. And so it's so important to have like a mediator, or maybe just premarital counseling or early marriage counseling, so you can learn how to navigate these new waters. It would work wonders for them to be able to have somebody mediate those conversations, so one doesn't shut down, one doesn't talk over the other. Eric is always done, and I'm done with it. Actually, I'm done with Eric being done. It is very, very unhealthy. It is very controlling, passive aggressive. It is break up with you before you break up with me, and I get it. He has trauma from past relationships, but for someone who, I've done this before, I've been here before, I know how it goes. He's not reflecting that. Because the I'm done it's like, if there's a list of things that you shouldn't do in your marriage, saying those things, I'm done, storming out, not coming home, sleeping out. So I can go on and on, but I'm done is just, it's problematic, it's triggering. And it actually is exactly what he doesn't want her to do that he's doing. So that's really frustrating to watch. They both have issues in communication, because there's something going on there, and I don't think they're right for each other. There were ways that they could work if they were like different, or if things were different. But right now, I don't think it's going to work long term, because they are just not right for each other. They're not matched appropriately. Beyond the lust that they have, they don't even have fun the same way. He's like very like, this is how it goes, and she's gonna push back on that until the end. So I don't think that they should stay together. I think that they may stay together, because I think that they have genuine feelings for each other, but it's not enough to last a lifetime. They have genuine feelings for each other that can sustain where they are right now, not long term. So, I mean, we can go on and on about them, but the arguments about the dogs and, the hey, it's mine and it's yours, and this disconnect with us and we and Rocky, and I mean, it was too much. They're not in the same place. There's some real deep-seated issues there. And just the dog situation is another way that it's reflected in their relationship. So that's Eric and Virginia. Next we have, we don't really have Chris and Paige. I guess contractually they're still around. The one thing I'll say about them, because Chris is not really worth talking about at this point. The one thing I will say about Paige is, I like that she said that she's into therapy, but then I couldn't understand when she said, I have 2 therapists. It's like, it's not really recommended. At least not at the same time, because, a lot of times they can be providing maybe some conflicting feedback, or it just doesn't make sense. If you play basketball, I have 2 basketball coaches at different schools. Like, what are you doing? So I thought that was kind of weird. So that's not recommended. And I've had people who have come to me and say, hey, I want you to be my therapist, or I want you to be my coach. And they're seeing someone. It's like, now you're grasping at straws. Like, for many reasons, that's not recommended. So that made me side-eye her. And then when Brianna was talking about getting a therapist before the process to kind of process some of her stuff, she said, yeah, that's great. I wish I would have done that. So then I'm like, okay, if you have 2 therapists, did you get them during this process? Because she's saying she got it right before this process. So if you've had 2 therapists, then why do you wish you would have done that? I don't know. If you have the 2 therapists, they are not working, because you would be doing things very differently in this like season of your life. Or you would definitely be getting some sort of feedback that would not have you. And once again, she could be contractually obligated, but it's hard to believe that she has 2 therapists right now. long story short, it's hard to believe that she has 2 therapists right now. That's all that I have with Paige. Next we have Ryan and Clara. Once again, I talked to a lot of people about this. And I do a like review with Little Black Book and Jack and Glenn and Artika and Tommy and Talisa Ray. We do it every Sunday. I do it every other Sunday, and we talk about them. And you know, some of us are kind of like, we can see it. Maybe they're having side conversations and maybe they're more cemented than we know. And some of us are like, this is not going to work out and this is not right. And let's just go to the end because that's like the most explosive, right? Listen, we already knew. When Clara said a few weeks ago, we're doing everything else. I mean, we're all adults here, so we already know what that includes. But for her to kind of say it to the girls and just confirm it for us, it was, I don't know why I was shocked because hello, we already knew. But I was just like, I'm glad to hear her say it because it's frustrating for me why that's happening and why nothing else is happening. And not just because he's a man, because that's another dialogue happening. Well, if this was her and she was not, you know, engaging in sex, then we would have more patience for her. I get that. And I agree with that. I'm not necessarily saying, Ryan, you need to do this. Why aren't you doing, but why are you doing everything else? To me, that's showing mixed messages. And you're saying you want to get deeper and you want to, like, there's this thing that only Ryan knows, which is an element of control. Only Ryan knows, and he gets to decide when they're going to take it a step further because he feels how he feels. And I feel like it's unfair to Clara, but holding Clara accountable, people cannot do what you don't allow them to. So you should not be, if it's a problem for you, which it is, we're seeing, why are you still doing it? Say, you know what, until you're comfortable, I'm not comfortable with bleep, a bleep, bleep, you know, if we're not going to take it a step further, or if you're not ready. And if you're not ready, let's pull it a step back and maybe get to know each other in a different kind of way. But to continue to play this game where you're clearly losing and you really don't even control the rules of this game, you don't even know the rules of this game, I think that's going to cause friction where they're going to hit a point of no return. And I don't think that Ryan is all the way in it. I keep hearing people say he is, but he's not really showing it, or they're having side conversations, which I do believe they're having side conversations, because I do believe that he is very aware of the way that he wants to be portrayed. But I don't see long term for them. I really, really don't. At best, maybe friends. That's if this doesn't end in disaster because of kind of like the emotional turmoil that it can take due to this issue with them being intimate to a certain level. And then her probably starting to feel rejected, like what's wrong with me? And what if it doesn't go this way? So now I've given all of this hoping that it turns into something, and he gets to basically say, okay, thanks, you know, I'm out. So, and he seems to like her enough, but you know, like her enough is not going to sustain anything. So I don't know. You guys let me know what you think. But I've never thought that they were such a great match either. So that is Ryan and Clara. Next we have Haley and Jacob. You know, Haley and Jacob, I really think they're pointless in talking about, because once again, don't think they're matched well. You know, I think that watching them is quite uncomfortable. I think that Jacob it's hard for him to get over the fact that she is not attracted to him, which I understand that. So he's struggling with that, and it shows up in every way. And because they had sex at the beginning of their marriage and they haven't had it again, he can't make sense of it. And they just keep getting into arguments and hoping not to get into arguments. And it's just really awkward to watch them. It's awkward to watch them because they know that they're out. I know Haley for a fact knows that she's out. Jacob is willing to do anything to make this work, but there's nothing that he can do to make it work when she's kind of already decided. She's kind of laid her cards on the table. She's not going to say it, but she's kind of said it. And I also don't think their personalities match up well, because even in like saying, hey, let's just be friends, let's just have a good time, let's just have fun, which I like that she said that, let's have fun, let's just be and chill, they can't even do that. It was just so uncomfortable to watch. His humor is not something that she really gets. Their dynamic just does not work. So it's going to be army crawling watching them for the rest of the season, like it has been already. They're once again back to the whole dog thing this whole episode. I mean, I guess they tried to show the affinity for each other's pets and stuff like that, but I don't know. Okay, I mean, that's not gonna save them. Okay, so that's Haley and Jacob. Nothing like super notable this week, just more uncomfortable and more like slow. It's the green mile with them. Like eventually they'll get to the end, and we already kind of know how that goes. So that's them. And then last we have Brianna and Vincent. So Brianna and Vincent continue to shine. Okay, I mean, even if Brianna and Vincent were like in the New Orleans cast, which I think was a great cast for the most part, they would still be shining because they just have this great chemistry. And they're just floating along and like genuinely happy, and they are just such a bright spot in this season. He bought her a bike because she wants to start biking. He wants to get on his fitness. So they bike, he lets her win. I mean, it's super, super cute. And at the end of the day, because we say, oh, well, there's not much drama, so we don't see them as often. At the end of the day, we do want these relationships to work out. The matriculation of their relationship from meeting each other at the altar to where they are now is exactly what should be happening. And it's nice to see that, okay, I know that beyond the 8 weeks, they have sustainability there. And they can really make it work as a real couple. And I always go back to this because we're like, oh God, this is such a train wreck, or, this show is just fake and blah, blah, blah. Be that as it may, with whatever you may feel about that, there are some real families that have come out of this show. Don't give me the ratios, because obviously we know the ratio is not in favor of this being a highly successful, experiment. But there are some children, lives have been born out of the show, and more on the way. And so I think that's enough, that's enough to hope that every season somebody actually comes away with something that has some sustainability and longevity. So I'm happy to see it. I'm here for them, and I root for them like I know them in real life. So that's it for this week. Don't forget to subscribe, comment, and like. I hope you guys have a wonderful Easter weekend, and stay tuned because my guys want to talk to you guys. Hi guys. I wanted to surprise you guys with my favorite guys.
Hey, I just wanted to say hello, me and Cinco. I want to say happy Friday, happy Good Friday, and happy Easter. Also, I'm pretty excited to give you all my take on this season the next time I'm on. So I'm looking forward to that.
He's not into it. All right.
There you go.
There he is. All right, guys. Have a good weekend.